Hello, people. Welcome to a new episode of Cattitude. Today, I would like to introduce a new feature called term modifications. Users in Cattitude can choose to have their translations generated not only by standard database matches, but also by machine translations. And currently, there are two possibilities. It's the technology Cattitude recommends, which is modern MT. And there is another very famous machine translation engine that's also supported by Cattitude, and that is DeepL. So both engines are supported, and both engines use machine translation technology, which is very handy, but sometimes has its quirks because before you can actually start using a machine translation engine, you have to train it. This is a process that can take several days. It's a pretty painful process. Also a pretty expensive process, though, if you buy a it's diamond account. A diamond account for Cattitude will do this for you once for free. But after that, if you decide to retrain your engine because you've added like millions of new words to it, then I'm afraid it will cost you a few €100. So what's the problem with machine translation engines? The problem is that once they've learned something, it's quite difficult for them to unlearn this. So for example, and let me just put my cursor here and generate this machine translation. This one is generated by Modern MT. Suppose that, so currently we are translating the word games as games. We leave it untranslated in Dutch. This is actually how it should be because the actual Dutch translation of this word, spellen or spelletjes, sounds a bit childish and is mostly used for board games and not computer games. But suppose our client says, listen, we want you to use the Dutch translation anyway. While we've been translating games as games for years already. It will take quite a while for the machine translation to unlearn this. For Modern MT, it may take a while. Maybe it picks it up really quickly. It may take like 10 tries. Sometimes it may even take like 100 tries. And sometimes it just refuses to unlearn the existing translation. And then your only option is to retrain the entire machine translation engine, which, as said, can take several days and may cost you a few $100. So, fortunately, there is a workaround, and this is called term modifications. This is a unique feature in Cattitude that works for both Modern MT and DeepL. It even works for database matches. It basically searches and replaces words after the entire translation has been generated, no matter the method it has been generated with. So, without further ado, in this case, I click the regex filters button to change it into the term modifications button. And I can now edit my term modification list. You can see there are already a few words in there. This is an obnoxious word. EA app contains a hyphen. The client decided to get rid of the hyphen after we had been using this translation for several years already. So the machine translation engine is being a bit obnoxious here. So we have this automatically replaced after the translation has been generated. And the same goes for reserveren, which means reserve, which they want me to translate as pre-orderen, which is okay with me, but it will take some time before the machine translation engine actually picks up this translation. So as you can see, and I'll show you once more, if we regenerate the translation, games is automatically translated as games. This is a machine translation. This has been generated. This translation has been generated by a machine translation engine. It does not come from the database memory. The MMT code here shows this. So suppose I want to replace the word games with spellen. So Cattitude should search for games and replace it with the word spellen. Okay, there we go. We just add this. Okay, now let's try to generate the translation once more. There we go. The word games has been automatically translated as spellen. Basically, it has not been translated that way, but after the translation had been generated, this word has been replaced automatically. And you know, I can also revert. Yeah, I can actually show you this, because if I, here it says EA app with the space, but if I delete this entry in my memory, let's just delete it, see what happens. See, there you go. The machine translation engine is being obnoxious and inserts the hyphen as we've been doing for years. And it does not, refuses to unlearn this at this moment. Let's re-add this translation, this term modification. Now we regenerate the machine translation. And there we go. Okay, so one more example. Suppose we want to translate the word achievements as prestaties. This is wrong. This is actually a word that has been defined. I think it's a Microsoft Xbox glossary word, so it should always, it should never be translated, Microsoft says. But suppose we want to translate it anyway, so we're going to replace this with prestaties. There we go. Let's regenerate this translation. And as you can see, the word has been translated as prestaties now. So a pretty nifty new feature, very powerful, especially, you know, because a DeepL also has a similar feature called word lists, which it offers if you actually pay for DeepL. But the maximum entries of words, term modifications in this list is only 20. And in Cattitude, basically the number of term modifications you can add is unlimited. And you can also specify it for every single client franchise. So I can have use 100 term modifications for client A, 250 term modifications for client B, and 5 term modifications for client C. No problem. And the number of clients is unlimited too. So I think Cattitude offers way more possibilities here. Okay, I hope you liked this video. Thank you for watching, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye. Happy translating.